Welcome to Champions Mojo. Join us for conversations that inspire and empower you as an adult athlete, fitness enthusiast, or master swimmer. Our goal is to make each episode insightful and inspirational and to discover what it takes to build or keep a life of personal excellence. I'm your host, Kelly Pallas, and we're here to champion you. Hello, friends. I'm Kelly Pallas. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast. And today, if you are looking for a feel-good comeback story, you are in the right place. This is really one of my favorite comeback stories. It happens in the swimming community, and it is phenomenal. The actual video that caught the start of this comeback story has had over 1 million views on YouTube. And we are going to talk with the man who made this great comeback today, and that is Owen Lloyd. He is an NC State, NCAA All-American, ACC champion in the 1650. Owen has a big resume. He's now graduated and is retired from swimming, but he's with us today, and we are so excited. Owen Lloyd, welcome to Champions Mojo.
Thank you for having me on.
Tell us just real quick where you are in your schooling and your training, and what is Owen up to right now?
Yeah, so I just completed my 5th year of eligibility at NC State. I'm currently in a master's program. It's 2 years, Master's of Arts, Liberal Studies. I kind of get to choose what my focus is, and right now that's coaching, leadership, and psychology. I actually just retired at NCAA's in March, so been enjoying not waking up as early, going to practice, that kind of stuff, but kind of already getting into more things. I actually went on a run today, did not feel great at all, but that's how it goes. And that learning curve. But yeah, just finished up my swimming career, had a really good postseason.
How far did you run today?
I just did 2 miles, 2.5 miles.
Yeah, just. So probably would have been easier on you if you'd swum that, right?
100%.
Yeah.
My Achilles and shins were not having it after all the basketball and stuff I did this weekend. So
as a master swimming podcast and more for adults, I always try to encourage the younger swimmers that are on the show, and we've had a lot of Olympians, a lot of people in your age group, to just say, yeah, you're going to retire from that high level of swimming, but would you ever consider continuing your swimming through masters maybe later?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think I just wanted a break mentally from obviously that high level competitive aspect of college swimming, but I'm extremely open to doing triathlons in the future and potentially master swimming. And as I want to be a coach, I'll be around the pool. It's a wonderful form of exercise. I know that. So, and I'm sure I'll get the yearn for the water back, but as of now, it's not hitting me 3 or 4 weeks out.
Right. I always wish that people would say they're taking a pause versus retiring, but I get it. I totally get that high level, especially being a distance swimmer. So one of the things that I know we would love to hear from you, and I say we because we have a lot of people listening, what is that hardest part of grinding through distance for you? Like all the training or the pain, or what is it that being a distance swimmer, what does that mean to you?
I think the biggest thing is the grind, as you call it. Not necessarily monotony, because there are ways to make it interesting, and that's something that I really leaned into the last 2 years. But just the constant yardage, the early mornings, doing more than everyone else around you. Obviously, like every distance swimmer is envious of the people who are able to sprint, but those are not the gifts that I was given. And yeah, I mean, as I've gotten older, like obviously almost 2 decades in the sport, you're going to have stuff with your shoulders and having to rehab that, and just constantly thinking about ways to mitigate that stress, recover correctly. It's just a lot that goes into it. And I'm someone who, if I'm committing to something, like I want to be all in on it. So that disciplinary aspect of not cutting corners in practice also has, or did this year especially, kind of bleed over into the rest of my life. Biggest thing about being a distance swimmer is the discipline to stay motivated, locked in, not just in practice, but just out of it as well. And it'll translate to success that way.
Yeah, almost a little bit more likely. Like it's you kind of know if you've held 15 100s on a minute and you held your pace for the mile, you kind of know that's coming versus somebody who's got to drop a second and 100 to final or something. So your trajectory of your swimming, you came in as a freshman. You, if I'm recalling from reviewing your history there, you kind of had this build into your senior year where I think your freshman year, you didn't make NCAAs and then you get a little bit better and then you final and then you win ACCs and then you get your top 5 at NCAAs. What do you think made that possible? Because a lot of people go the opposite way.
There's a lot of factors that went into it for sure. And like you said, I was like 15, 24 or something coming into college. I just got a spot on the team, no scholarship money. And I was surrounded by a really good group, obviously led by Mark Bernardino. But I was one of, if not the slowest guys in that group freshman year. So it was kind of just surviving that year. But after making wave 1 trials, that was good. I made it back to wave 2. That kind of gave me a lot of confidence. And then at the start of my sophomore year, I was like, okay, I need to like make these changes because my freshman year didn't go as well. And there were challenges with COVID, but my sophomore year, I really committed to kind of locking in. And I knew that if I wanted to even just have lanes at dual meets, I would have to really prove it in practice and race all of those guys who were faster than me, like Ross and Eric Knowles. And I kind of just built on that mindset as I got older. And obviously they graduated, so I had to be that person that the team could rely on, be the next man up. And we had people like Will Gallant still there, and he was amazing. And then the younger guys like Lance always pushing me. So I attribute a lot of my continued success to my environment of teammates that were around me and a coach that was able to push me a lot. And I kind of just built off that momentum. My junior year, or my sophomore year, I qualified for NCs, but I wasn't able to go because of the roster limits. So we had a diver qualify, and he went instead of me. But I got to go to the meet, experience the pressure, which is an awesome experience. And junior year, I got mono, but I bounced back from that, and that gave me a lot of confidence going into that summer where I qualified for an international team. So that was really cool. And I just had a ton of confidence going into my senior season. And then obviously the DQ at ACCs kind of gave me that last little bit of fuel for the fire.
Yeah, let's talk about that. First, I want to just say for our listeners, because we do have a lot of triathletes, yes, friends, we are talking about a 15:24 minute mile, 16:50, which is pretty much a 1500, a little bit different, but about the same time. So that you're probably the fastest miler we've ever had on the show. But it's a 15:24 mile. So you come in as a freshman with a 15:24 mile, and then your 5th year, you just went 14:39. Is that right?
14:29.
14:29. Wow. Sorry.
Almost a minute.
Seconds there. Yeah. Almost a minute. That's just a huge drop. And then you're talking about Ross Dant, which you said Ross, but not Ross Dant's last name. And we're going to get into Ross here a little bit when we talk about this that happened to you. So the idea of a comeback, it's so inspiring. It's so enticing. And it's one of the things that we talk about a lot on the show, because it's just when you can listen to a podcast and you hear about a comeback from anybody. I just interviewed a really great, actually, she's a miler too. She's the fastest woman ever to do the English Channel, and she's swam a really fast mile. And she just told the comeback story of her having pneumonia, just thinking she's going to the ER doc, the doc in the box to get a thing of medicine. And she ends up in the hospital having lung surgery. And so
Wow.
She came back from that and set a world record, a master's world record. But we love the comeback story. So your comeback story is, it may be so personalized to me. I'm probably going to cry here, Owen, because the emotion that you showed in this. So I'm going to just give you my 30-second summary of what I saw. And then, of course, we want to hear everything that happened to you. So I am watching the ACC Championships. This is your senior year. You have never won an ACC championship title. You win the 1650, which is just gut-wrenching, grueling. Anybody who knows it, it's just so painful. You win your senior year. This is a big, big deal. And like so many people, you get on the lane rope to celebrate your win. You guys are at Greensboro. That's kind of the home pool and the kind of hometown crowd's going nuts. You sit on the lane rope like many people. In fact, I'm going to just throw this in here. Did you notice that Justin Yep celebrated his NCAA 200 breaststroke victory, got on the lane rope, and fell into his competitor's lane? All right.
Yes, I actually laughed with some of my friends when that happened. But theirs was over, so he was fine.
Yeah, he was fine. But you celebrate, you fall into your competitor's lane who's done. So everyone in the pool has completed the race except one of the end lanes. I don't know which lane it was, but the lane that you actually fell into was Ross Dant, your fellow teammate, who finished second. So your senior year, you're great. We're all going crazy. I'm watching this at home on TV, and I'm very good friends with Mark Bernardino and an NC State distance All-American alum, just like you. And I am just 1, 2, and I'm celebrating. And they always interview the winner of those races. And so you go over to be interviewed by the on-camera person. And not only does this happen to you just as a experience that you lived with, but it happened in front of the world and was a viral moment where at that moment when the microphone and the camera is on you about to be interviewed as the new ACC champion, they announce that you are disqualified for leaving your lane during the race. And the reason it was during the race is because somebody was swimming in the end lane. And that only happens to the distance people because everybody else is done. Like we said, Yep won the NCAAs. He fell into another lane and that race was done. So you have a very emotional moment, kind of a fall to your knees crying moment, which is totally understandable. And I just wonder if you know how many other of us, like me, I'm in my living room and I fall to my knees crying. You shared this moment with the world, and I just feel like the vulnerability, the power of that moment, the potentially unfairness of it all, but rules are rules. So that's the perspective of an observer. And then, of course, Ross handled it in the most sportsmanlike way, saying, you won fair and square. I mean, it's not like you got any advantage. He's deeming you the champion. He gives you his award. He's like the ultimate teammate. And kudos to Ross. Yeah, I love the guy. And so from your perspective, and I know you've gone through this a lot of times, but to come back, and then we will follow up that you actually 1 year later to the day came back and won the ACCs when you really were not predicted to. And there was somebody in there that had swum faster than you that year. And it's a 5th year, and did this crush your spirit? And could you do it again? And the pressure of it. And then there's kind of another fall to the knees moment of everybody in there watching you win it again a year later and just being incredibly joyful. It's just, for me, again, a personal connection to NC State and that event, and you and Mark. It was just, to me, one of the greatest comeback stories in sports. And it's kind of like that to the world. But I'm going to stop talking now. That was way more than 30 seconds. I'm sorry, but it was
Fine.
It was quite a powerful thing that you did, Owen, and quite an amazing thing that you did. And I first just want to say congratulations. What an inspiration. You touched my heart, my soul of this. And I know there's thousands, if not tens of thousands of other people. So from your perspective, tell us about this experience.
Yeah, so I'll kind of walk you through just both last year's ACCs as well as this year. That race, me and Ross had been talking about it the whole meet. I'd been having a good meet, so I was like, okay, man, I think it's going to be me and you. Like, we got this. And he had been there before. He'd been an ACC champion his sophomore, junior year in the mile or the 500. And it was a really, really good race. I swam it really well. I dropped like 3 or 4 seconds from a midseason time, which was also really good then. And that would have been my second ever college win, that 2024 ACC championship. And yeah, I think it was a culmination. Like, the reason I showed so much emotion was because I cared so much and I put so much into it. When I talked about like my discipline, obviously I translated that for almost 2.5 years, maybe more, just into everything that I did in my life. So that was like 3 years of just hard work kind of built up. And I mean, everyone saw it. I I cared a lot about that race. I cared a lot about that finish. And I didn't know this at the time, but the rule is actually discretionary. So the official had the option to not call it, but decided that they did not like what I was doing. That was a big reason of the uproar, at least within the swimming community. And then obviously it got millions of views on YouTube, this one video, and I don't even know how many elsewhere. Yeah, that was really hard. And it gave me a ton of nerves for 2024 NCAAs where I got fifth with 14:39. But I think those nerves really helped me the next year. So
Could you talk about the disqualification and the reality that your name wasn't going to be on the board as an ACC champion, kind of the aftermath? What was the darkest point of that disqualification for you? And what was your mindset around that when it came, or did it ever come?
yeah, probably 2 or so weeks after ACCs when we kind of got back into really hard training for NCAAs. Obviously, I'd seen all the stuff online and there were just a lot of thoughts going on in my head. I was obviously really upset, even just at myself too, because I was just finding anything to blame. Obviously, I shouldn't have been. What I did made sense, but it made me nervous. I wouldn't say I was depressed. Obviously, I had a lot of good people around me, and there was just more anger, I think, and sadness in that moment. But I kind of had to push those away and really focus on what was going on because I wanted to be there for my team at NCAAs. I wanted to be able to perform. Me and Dino butted heads a little bit that week. I remember we had a pretty bad argument in practice where he was trying to motivate me. He brought it up, and I was like, I can't deal with that right now. So there was that. That was a little bit of that anger. But yeah, I think that in between period between those two meets was just super stressful. And I mean, that definitely helped me going forward, being able to get past that and still put up a decent time at NCs. But yeah, I would say right after, during that hard training, because when you double taper, I mean, you're getting right back to it. You're doing some of the hardest sets. We did something like 6 500s, like on 5:30, like go sub 4:40, sub 4:35, sub 4:30 twice. So that was the one where it came to a head with Dino and we argued a little bit. So I just remember that practice pretty vividly, actually.
I love that. Yeah. So then your fifth year, had you always planned to take the fifth year, or did the disqualification play into that?
Even from after like my sophomore year, Braden had talked to me about it just because I think he could see that I was someone who was going to keep improving. And with trials being that summer, it made perfect sense to stay in it. So that was always the plan. I'm so happy that I was able to get that opportunity. Obviously, a lot of bad things came out of COVID, but that was one of the good things in my life that I was able to get from that. I focused on trials after NCAAs, but I stayed in shape throughout the summer. I didn't have the greatest meet long course. We went to Colorado Springs in May, did a ton of long course freestyle training, which actually kind of messed up my shoulder a little bit. So I had to deal with that too, going into short course season in our training room a lot. But yeah, the fifth year was so good to have that. That really gave me a lot of motivation for the harder practices and the harder parts in the fall, where we're doing a lot of Rocktober training, as to call it.
Want to make a real difference? The Health Coach Institute offers the Pathways program to become a certified health coach. You'll help others achieve lasting wellness, grow your own resilience and self-mastery, and create meaningful lifelong change. I'm a proud graduate of the Health Coach Institute, and I highly recommend the program. Learn more at championsmojo.com/pathways. So you get the DQ, you go to NCAAs, you have a great mile, your best time up to that point. Then you have the summer trials and you go back to training in the fall prior to going and resurrecting this loss and winning the ACCs again in a not nearly as likely a scenario or nearly as friendly a scenario with a lot more pressure. Did it start out from the very beginning of the year, I'm going to win ACCs, or was it just kind of in the background? Yeah, no pressure. How was the plan for the year going into that?
I didn't want it to like dominate my headspace. I think I've learned a lot about mental clarity and just having a good mindset going into things. I would use it for motivation a lot in certain practices where I didn't feel good. I was like, come on, like you got to give yourself the best chance you can. And we actually had David Bethlehem, the Hungarian guy, who was there. And I was like, this guy is my competition, because at that point, the Cal distance freestyler hadn't come because he was a January guy. But unfortunately, David had to go back to Hungary, problems with the federation. I won't get into all that. But then after that, I was like, okay, it's me and Lance, maybe some other people, but like, I know that I've done the work. So I kept building confidence. My biggest thing throughout the hard training parts of the year is kind of getting these test sets that really, really give me that confidence that I know that during a race, I'm going to be able to hold on so that I can go out fast enough, because that's something I've had to like kind of focus on in college. Obviously, as a club swimmer, I was pretty done with my strategies where I would kind of finish the last 50 and be 2 or 3 seconds faster. And I'm like, okay, I knew I had more. And yeah, I had really good dual meet swims. I posted the best time, 8:47 in the 1,000 in Georgia. And then me and Lance went really fast in midseason. And then obviously the Lucas Henvo, the Belgium Olympian, was added to Cal's roster kind of surprisingly in January. And then he posted a 14:29. And like, I know that I've done work to go that time, but obviously you never know like how you're going to feel at a race. How you're going to feel during it. Obviously still dealing with my shoulder stuff. Like, I don't know how it's going to impact me. So yeah, there was a lot of nerves going into it. And I don't think I set like I have to win, because I knew that would have done too much to my mind. I was like, I'm okay with what's going to happen, but I never counted myself out. Do you want me to go into like just the pre-race strategy and like what was going on?
Yeah. And I would love for you to address a couple of things while you're talking about like that mental clarity you talked about. So just maybe what that means to you. Like, also, what are you thinking when you're in that grueling pain in the middle of the race? Like you hit 45 on the counter and you're like, oh no, I've got another 500. How am I feeling? And then also talk about some of the test set or a test set that might have gotten you ready for that. And then leading up to it, I'd love to know. And what you felt when you hit the wall and saw.
Yeah, so 2 of the test sets that we've done the last 3 years, the first one is during Christmas training. It's 800 short course yards on 8 minutes. We're suited. My goal was to be around 7:30 on all of them, or descend to kind of. So I started at 7:40, kind of descended down each one. I actually finished with a 7:18, which was really, really good for me. So that was one of the ones that gave me confidence. Mendino loves a set where we do 33 150s on like 145, suited as well, 1 aerobic, 1 white, 1 go. And I held 116 low to 115 high, and then finished with a 114.0, also short course. And yeah, those 2 were really, really good confidence boosters because they were better than I had ever been. And yeah, so mental clarity, this is something that I've worked on a while back with Sports Psych. I did a few meetings with them just to kind of get negative thoughts out of my head. And I do this during practice as well as during meets, where I play music in my head, almost like kind of singing to myself, but not really. It's always songs that I know, and it helps that if I have music in practice. But for me specifically, I have 3 songs in the mile where I'll play them in my head. And obviously I still think some, but it kind of keeps me in my rhythm, keeps me in my zone. And that last one is one that I know will kind of like trigger my body to make me give it all I have. Like sometimes when I'm just listening to it in the car, I'll get goosebumps because I've like trained my mind that way. So I play those before the races. I listen to some other music to hype me up. I have a very, very strict pre-race routine in the mile because I always have so much time. So I'll warm up about 2,000 yards, and then 50 minutes before my race, I'll take some caffeine, put my suit on, do a 500 or so suited with some pace, and then I get warm and I listen to my music to get kind of in that racing zone. I get into the zone throughout the day because I'm usually racing in the afternoon. That zone really has been something that I've kind of cultivated and worked on over the last 4 years. Yeah, and then during the race, I mean, I knew that I had to stick with Envo, and I was right next to him, which is great. I got a little bit of a draft. He's a big guy. And that was nice. Open water swimmers will know how much a draft can help you, and I did some of that in club, so I've obviously been someone who's always thinking about it during a race if it's a possibility. I kind of made my move pretty early. So many people talked to me, and they were like, I thought you were going to die. And I pulled ahead quite a bit, actually. I think I made my move around like the 650, and then when I see 47 on the counter, that's when I kind of just give it everything I have for the rest, like almost a sprint. Obviously, in a distance race, a sprint is different than like others because your body is just dying and focusing on turns. But I always told myself, like, during that race, because the guy who actually got second was someone else, not the Cal guy. It was a Stanford guy, and he was negative splitting. But I was like, don't ever like get comfortable here. Like, you got to keep pushing. You got to keep pushing, which helped me win the race by almost 5 seconds and post a really, really good best time, 14:31. And yeah, I mean, it didn't even feel real when I touched and I finished. Obviously, I had that line, "Ball don't lie," kind of loaded up in my mind. I was like, oh, this would be cool. But yeah, it was just like overwhelming, like joy. Obviously, a huge feeling of victory, and I had a lot of gratitude. I texted a lot of people, thank you, who were obviously like reaching out, saying congratulations. Like, it just kind of like flowed out of me. It was great. A lot of my family was there, aside from my little brother, who's in college right now, so he couldn't come, but he was able to make it to NCs, which was really, really special. The two biggest emotions were definitely joy and then victorious, kind of. And it was really awesome. Like, I was talking with my friends just like a week after, and I was like, this is like the kind of happiness that like lasts such a long time. Like, it's true happiness because it comes from that work that you put in, and again, that overcoming defeat there. So it made all of that sacrifice, all that discipline, all the pain from the year before, all worth it for sure.
Yeah, this is the kind of accomplishment that you can look back on your entire life. And I mean, this is the beauty of swimming. You get something like this out, and there are smaller comebacks that we all have. Yours has just been so public and so watched, and that you can look back and say, oh, I did that then, and then you can do it in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s. And we all need comebacks all the time. It doesn't even have to be in swimming. It can be whatever, your work or your health or something. But oh, and I have to ask, if you're righting the wrong, I was really hoping you would get on the lane rope and throw your arms in the air after everybody finished the heat at least. Did anybody other than me ask you to do that, or did you think about it?
I 100% thought about it. I actually did a little pump fake of the celebration, but I didn't want to risk anything, even if they were all done. The same official who DQ'd me was there, so I was not trying to mess around with that. Obviously, there were a lot of jokes with that. I had a good celebration. I'm someone who likes to celebrate. Obviously, I have a lot of emotion tied to my swims, and it is something that I like to do to like kind of get the team fired up, especially at bigger meets. But yeah, I thought about it. The guy next to me was like, yo, you're going to get in the lane rope. I was like, no, I'm not messing with that. So yeah, it was in my head, but I knew better than to do that. No, I let my actions speak for themselves. And then I had a little bit of saying like, ball don't lie, obviously.
Explain that for me, ball don't lie.
Yeah, so it's kind of something that comes from basketball where like if a call is bad, like you shoot for it to say like, oh, this call was right. Rasheed Wallace is the person who at least Google has shown up there. Yeah, a lot of basketball. It comes from basketball, and it's something that now my friends have been saying a lot of ever since.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So are your songs, your three songs that you sing during the mile top secret, or can you share those?
The first one is No Church in the Wild, which is Jay-Z and Kanye. And then the second one is a song called On and On. It's kind of like an EDM song. And then the last one is The Show Goes On by Lupe Fiasco. And it's kind of like the beat kind of matters. So that's why I like that first one, because it's like a slow, steady. And then the second one builds just like I like to build. And the last one, it just always gets me fired up. I've liked it ever since like middle school. So it's kind of been my go-to pump up song. And it's applicable, that last one. I felt like it. The lyrics are good too, and they get me going.
Yeah, I think more distance swimmers sing or listen to songs in their head than we think. So I like to hear that, because definitely a lot of people that I've talked to, and I did the same thing. So now you've retired, you're out of it. You've had the best season ever that you've ever had. How does it feel kind of a month out now that you're done?
It's definitely exciting. I think I need to like journal some about what I feel. Obviously, I had so many emotions at ACCs. And my training after was just so great going into NCAA. So I knew that I could be a little bit faster. Obviously, that double taper is still pretty hard. And the field there was insane because I went 10 seconds faster than last year, but I got the exact same place. So there was a really tight battle between like third to seventh there. Obviously, Zalon and Rex were pulling ahead a little bit more. and they both had phenomenal swims. The competitor in me was like, oh, I could have gotten third, but like, that's not the end of the world. Obviously, I still broke that really big barrier of 14 minutes and 30 seconds. So that was something I was super proud of. But yeah, I mean, I'm extremely grateful for everything and everyone that was able to kind of let me have that storybook ending. I'm super excited to stay around the sport. I want to be a college coach, and I'm coaching at a club in North Carolina while I finish my master's degree.
Have you thought about writing out the whole incident? Just putting it down?
My dad has told me that I should, and I think I will. I might wait till school's out to just kind of make it my summer thing, or at least do it then. But yeah, I've been putting it off a little bit, but I think that I will. And I've had people be like, yo, you should write a book. Like,
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
yeah, there's a book in there. Really, truly.
Yeah, for sure.
You would have to journal and explore those emotions of what was I feeling? What was I really feeling? What was I really thinking? Who was there for me? And certainly I would love to read that book, but I'm a fangirl. I'm a little bit geeked out on what you did. And do you feel like you've had a little celebrity, a little 15 minutes of fame? I mean, how has that been?
Yeah, it was definitely more last year. I was kind of hoping that the big outlets that picked it up last year would pick it up this year. There's been pockets of people sending me YouTube shorts, Instagram reels of some people making stuff about it. And then, of course, within NC State, it's made a lot of noise. I've gotten to do some interviews, which has been pretty cool. So yeah, the fame is cool. Obviously, the actual feeling of winning is much, much better because I'm proving that to myself, not to anyone else. And that was the only like silver lining last year was like, oh, like I guess people now know my name somewhat, but now it's like they know my name and I backed it up. So it was kind of cool to have that rectified compared to last year.
Yeah, for sure. So this will certainly look great on your coaching resume because you can talk to the kids, whoever you're coaching, young kids, college kids, masters, whoever you're coaching is going to be quite familiar with your story, and you're going to be able to use that experience to be a better coach. What type of coaching do you see yourself doing?
So I've got club at least for a year. I'm going to look for college jobs. I want to be in college for now, at least. That's the goal. I have no idea where. I have no idea what. I mean, I'm assuming I would probably coach distance for now, but I'm really excited to learn more about the shorter races. I'm going to get to work with Wolfpack lead in NC State this summer and then in the spring as well, in addition to the club coach job that I have at Wave. So I'm excited to learn a lot because I know that I need to learn a lot. That's my number one goal the next couple of years. But yeah, college, it'd be awesome if I could make it to be a head coach. That'd be a dream come true. So that's the end goal for sure.
And you've certainly had some incredible experience there watching Braden Holloway for 5 years and an Olympic coach and Mark Bernardino for swimming with him. So I think you got a great resume. All right, Owen, is there anything that I have not asked you that you think that our listeners might want to know or that you want to share?
I guess I'll share some quotes that I really like. The first one is pressure is a privilege. So that's one that I always tell myself. I think it was Billie Jean King said that. And what reminds me that where you're in a position to feel that pressure, like it is a blessing that you have something that you care about, that you have something where you have to perform, or you have people that you love that are supporting you and counting on you like a team. So that's something that always gets me through really, really hard stuff. I'll just leave it with that. That pressure is a privilege, and that's a good thing to remember when you're facing those nerves.
I love that. All right. Are you ready to do some sprinter round questions?
Take your mark.
What is your favorite sandwich?
I'm a big fan of like the chicken, avocado, bacon paninis.
What do you own that you should throw out?
Extra gadgets that I've acquired, or maybe give away, not throw out, but I have too much stuff from just certain random meat gifts or birthday presents or Christmas gifts.
What's the scariest animal to you?
Maybe like a snake, but I also hate cockroaches.
Okay. What celebrity would you most like to meet?
Either Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant.
What is the hardest swimming event in the pool
Age-old question.
for you?
I don't know. Either the 4 a.m. or the mile. I really can't decide. Both are very hard to execute correctly, and you feel a lot of pain.
One of your favorite movies?
I'm a big fan of The Gladiator, Interstellar. Got to see that in IMAX this year. It was pretty cool. I love Star Wars. I like both of the Dune movies. Those are also good ones recently.
All right. Favorite smell?
I guess just the smell of good food.
Do you make your bed every morning?
No, I do not.
Do you prefer a kickboard or no kickboard when given the choice?
Kickboard.
If you had to listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I guess I got to go with Show Goes On.
Window or aisle?
Window for sure. I like to be able to sleep if I can.
Describe your life in 5 words.
Laughter, friendship, family, hard work, fun.
I like it. Okay. What word comes to mind when you dive in the water?
I'd say like discipline.
I like it. Wonderful. Owen, thank you so much for spending the time with us. It was really awesome. And we'll be looking for that book from you.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Champions Mojo podcast. Did you enjoy the show? We'd be grateful if you would leave us a 5-star review on iTunes to help others find us. And we'd also love to hear from you. We're on all social media platforms, or you can reach us at championsmojo.com.